What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com. Here are my DFS picks for NBA Sunday, April 10th. These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button and hit that bell icon so you don't miss our new videos. In this video, I'm going to go over my top picks for today's NBA slate. And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made. Okay guys, we have an 11-game slate here tonight. This is the last day of the NBA regular season, so make sure to check all the injury news right before the game start to see what players are going to play, what players are going to sit. Super important for this slate, but I've got a handful of players here that I think are going to play and I think are going to do really well, so let's get into it. At the point guard position, take a look at this value play. I like Ayo Dosunmu from the Chicago Bulls playing the Minnesota Timberwolves, who have the 10th worst defense overall. They give up the 11th most fantasy points to opposing point guards. Ayo Dosunmu has averaged 19.1 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 27 minutes per game with a 14% usage rate. He's projected at 18.7 fantasy points here tonight, but I think he can score 20 fantasy points or more, and he's only $3,900 DraftKings salary, same price on FanDuel. And Ayo Dosunmu, he scored 25, 16, and 21 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 27, 22, and 24 minutes. Now, I like this pick because I think he could easily score 20 fantasy points or more and get you 5 times value or more, but he does have some pretty big upside. He scored 42 fantasy points in his last game versus the Minnesota Timberwolves, so I think that makes him an interesting sleeper pick here. So I like Ayo Dosunmu. Ayo Dosunmu. That's a guy you probably haven't heard his name much, but he's getting minutes, and he's been somewhat productive, especially at his price point and his upside in this matchup. So I like Ayo Dosunmu here versus the Minnesota Timberwolves. Before I continue with the picks, I'm excited today because we added a new contest for everyone watching. If you want to enter the drawing for $25 PayPal, all you need to do is like this video, hit that subscribe button, and make a quick comment below to be entered into the drawing. We'll reply to a random comment and let you know that you won. And we'll send you $25 PayPal. So it's that easy, and we pick a new winner every Saturday and announce them in our video. So get your comment in now so I can add another entry for you. Okay, let's take a look at the shooting guard position. Also eligible at the small forward position. I love this play here tonight. I like Gary Trent Jr. from the Toronto Raptors playing the New York Knicks, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall. They're middle-of-the-pack defending opposing shooting guards. And Gary Trent Jr. has averaged 29.9 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 35 minutes per game with a 22% usage rate. He's projected at 31.7 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5 times value. He's $6,300 DraftKings salary, $300 less on FanDuel, and Gary Trent Jr. has scored 36, 45, and 27 fantasy points in the last 3 games, and he's playing monster minutes. He played 38, 41, and 32 fantasy points in the last 3 games. So I like Gary Trent Jr. here versus the New York Knicks. Okay, let's take a look at the small forward position. I like Bojan Bogdanovic from the Utah Jazz playing the Portland Trail Blazers, who have the 3rd worst defense overall. They give up the absolute most fantasy points to opposing small forwards. Bogdanovic has averaged 27.6 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 31 minutes per game with a 24% usage rate. He's projected at 27.4 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5 times value. He's $5,500 DraftKings salary, $700 more on FanDuel. So I love that DraftKings price. And Bojan Bogdanovic has scored 36, 33, and 28 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 32, 25, and 40 minutes. Yeah, I don't have the game totals yet. I don't think those are out this morning. They'll be out later. But this is a tough game for Vegas to price in the odds, because they're also waiting for that injury news to see who's going to play, who's going to sit. Just a tough day all around. That's why I'm going to go for these mid-range players, kind of these secondary players that tend to play more often than not in these games. Whereas the stud players, you know, more often than not, those studs are going to sit, especially if there's nothing to play for. So I kind of like these secondary players that have a good track record. Just like this guy, Bojan Bogdanovic, here versus the Portland Trailblazers.
Real quick, guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all of our DFS tools for all sports. You can try the Position Optimizer, where you can see the top players ranked for each position. And we added a new Player Trends tool, where you can see the top salary differences between FanDuel and DraftKings. It's a really good tool to help you pick out value for the site that you're playing on. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups.
Okay, let's take a look at the power forward position. Now, this guy's salary has continuously been creeping up, but for good reason. It is hard to ignore what this guy's doing on the court. And his salary's still pretty reasonable for his production in the minutes that he's playing. So take a look at Jalen Horde from the Oklahoma City Thunder playing the LA Clippers, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall. They give up the 9th most fantasy points to opposing power forwards, also eligible at the center position. Jalen Horde has averaged 36.6 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 32 minutes per game with a 19% usage rate. He's projected at 40.1 fantasy points here tonight, and that's 5.7 times value. He's $7,000 DraftKings salary, $700 more on FanDuel. This guy has just been absolutely crushing it. He scored 59, 40, and 62 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 46, 36, and 45 minutes. Wow. And out of his last 5 games, he had 1 dud in there where he only scored 10 fantasy points. But outside that, 59, 40, 62, and 47 fantasy points, 4 out of his last 5 games. He's getting monster minutes in a good matchup here. So I like Jalen Horde here versus the LA Clippers. Okay, moving on to the center position. Now, this guy is on a back-to-back, but he hasn't been playing a ton of minutes. His minutes have been consistent, and his fantasy point production has been consistent. And I like this game. It's a great matchup. So I like Ivica Zubac from the LA Clippers playing the Oklahoma City Thunder, who have the 2nd worst defense overall. They give up the 4th most fantasy points to opposing centers. Ivica Zubac has averaged 25.9 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 24 minutes per game with a 17% usage rate. He's projected at 26.7 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5 times value. He is $5,300 DraftKings salary, $300 more on FanDuel. And look what he's done over the last 3 games. Scored 35, 33, and 38 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 24, 25, and 24 minutes. So he's been on fire. So I like Ivica Zubac here versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, a guy that I like quite a bit more than Ivica Zubac, especially on DraftKings where he's way underpriced, take a look at Willy Hernan from the New Orleans Pelicans, playing the Golden State Warriors, who have a good defense overall. They've been good versus opposing centers. Now, Willy Hernan, he's averaged 21.2 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 17 minutes per game with a 23% usage rate. But look what this guy has done the past 3 games. Scored 35, 39, and 35 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 33, 25, and 25 minutes. So his minutes per game are way up, so is his production, and he's projected at 28.3 fantasy points here tonight, and on DraftKings, that's 6.6 times value. He's only $4,300 DraftKings salary. He is $1,200 more on FanDuel, but I absolutely love that DraftKings price. Probably gonna be one of my favorite DraftKings plays here tonight. So I like Willy Hernan here versus the Golden State Warriors. Oh, real quick before you get out of here, if you want daily sports betting and player prop picks, we put a link to today's video with our NBA picks in the bottom of the description of this video. It's our new YouTube channel, so we would really appreciate it if you dropped a like on that video and subscribe to that new channel so it can help us get shown in the YouTube algorithm and you won't miss those daily NBA picks.
If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smickety smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NBA slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again and good luck.